It's a new month and I've got a brand new Scrawlrbox and I can't wait to get into it. Let's see what this month has in store. So first up I'm seeing that I've got what appears to be Kneaded Eraser by Faber-Castell. I love these things. My current one is slowly acquiring more cat fur by the day, so you can never have too many of these guys. The candy is something called a fruit salad, which kinda looks a little bit like a Starburst or a Now and Later situation. And we've got our beautifully wrapped stuff, and let's get into it. Ooh! Look how beautiful the sticker is! Oh, it's such a beautiful gradient. Oh, I know exactly where I'm going to be sticking this. And we have got a graphite writing pencil in HB by Viking. A couple of Unipin fine liners, what appears to be charcoal gray one in 0.1, and what I'm assuming is a little bit lighter color in 0.5. And oh my goodness, I actually have a lot of these in my cart right now. I was planning on buying some, and I've been dying to try them out. These are the Ecoline watercolor brush pens. Looks like they sent us a 5-pack of pastel colors. Technical difficulties. So yeah, it appears that we've got a cold gray, pastel rose, pastel green, pastel violet, and a pastel blue. At the moment it is definitely spring, so these are great spring colors. Can't wait to see what I make with these. I'm so excited. But yeah, I actually had like 10 of these in my cart right now. I think I actually had this pink in my cart, if we're gonna be honest. Yeah, I can't wait to use these. This is gonna be so fun. Then the art this month is beautiful. It looks like we've got a hand lettering, and it says, "If you're not learning every day, then you're not living every day." Which are good words to live by. And here's the artist. Her name is Kiki B. And the paper. The paper this month, it kind of feels like a Bristol board. Which, why would they have sent us Bristol board if they sent us the... I don't think these things get along. I don't think Bristol likes water medias. They like alcohol-based medias, but I don't think this stuff likes water stuff. But let's see what it says. Yeah, no, this doesn't seem to be telling me what the paper is this month. I'm pretty sure it's Bristol board though. But our challenge this month is Words of Wisdom, and they encourage us to use the supplies in this box to either write out a quote in beautiful brush lettering or draw something to effectively communicate the essence of the phrase. So I need to think of a phrase and I need to think of a drawing to go with it. So I'll swatch these here real quick and try and figure out what I'm gonna draw. So I was trying to test how they blend, and yeah, I don't think they like this paper. It's, as you can kind of see here, it's starting to kind of tear up the paper where you get the paper really wet. So we'll try and make it work. I guess we'll just try and not blend it with extra water, try and keep them down to just one layer. And I think if I was using a different paper, more of a watercolor paper, actually, I'm gonna go try that real quick. Alright, well, apparently this isn't a really good water or multimedia paper either. Let's try a third time. Third tries the charm. This one I know for sure likes watercolor because it's multimedia, and it is what I've been using to test the watercolors I've been making. So let's just find a swatch page. Alright, let's try. Third tries the charm. Yeah, see, even this more multimedia paper is still pilling up really bad. Not as bad as the other two, but yeah, there's still definitely, you can see paper bits coming up. I'll use the paper they gave me, and we'll just have to go really light on the water, so I'll have to keep that in mind when I'm making up my design. But yeah, words of wisdom. There's so many good words of wisdom out there, so I'm gonna have to think about what is gonna translate well into a design. So I'm gonna sketch a little bit and we'll check back in. I was sketching last night, and as you can see, it was not a good art night, so I decided to just take a break, come back in the morning, and I came up with this idea. And I really like how she turned out, but I wanted something a little different, so I reworked it, and my phrase is keep going, keep growing. I got my little color key, and because I'm the world's slowest sketcher, I decided to just go ahead and sketch right on the paper for you guys, and we're gonna go ahead and get her colored. I decided to start off coloring her hair because I knew for sure I wanted that to be pink, and I also figured that if I messed it up, it's just the hair and I can always go over it again with a different color. I do keep forgetting that I'm supposed to only be going over it 1 or 2 times maximum with these. I do really like these colors and I do really like these pens, but they do eat up paper, and I'm not sure if on some of the papers if it was them eating the paper up or if they were just shedding, because on one of the thicker papers it did seem like the marker itself was shedding, but on the thinner papers it definitely was eating the paper because they're just so juicy. But you can see a couple of times I do just forget and go over a hair piece a couple of times to try and get some shading. I did take a paintbrush, I put some of the ink on a little tray, and then I went in with the paintbrush and kind of splotched it on to get a little bit lighter areas on the cheeks and the nose for some blush. And overall, I do really like how this turned out. My biggest regret, however, is right at the end, I decided to color something gray, and I immediately regretted it. I don't know why, but I was determined to use all 5 of the colors. I should not have touched the gray. I did go in with the purple a little bit to try and add a little bit of shadows to the hair. I had to wait a while before I did this though because I wanted the pink to be completely dry to help mitigate some of the potential tearing up of the paper. And overall, I do like how it looks. But yeah, you can see in a few areas I went a little bit heavy with the ink and it started to tear up a little bit. I decided to move on and just start inking some bits, and I started off with the darker gray pen, and it has a really fine nib, which was wonderful. Unfortunately, I'm used to inking with a little bit thicker nib, so things didn't quite go as fast as they normally would have. But I do like these pens. I did decide to do a lot of the inking secondary because I wasn't 100% sure how water fast they were because I forgot to double check that. So at the beginning I would wait until I finished an area and then I'd go over it with the pen. And then as you can see, my little helper, who is always near when I'm drawing, decided to make an appearance. This is Alice. She's very clingy and very soft. And she wants to always be where you are. And then I decided to add a little bit of variation, so I went in with the lighter gray pen, and I don't really see a lot of a difference. I should have probably just kept it to the darker of the two. I do really like how the background turned out. I love how many leaves and plants there were. I feel like I could have made it a stronger piece if I had tweaked a couple of colors here and there, but overall, I do like the variety in plant matter. Normally I can only just do maybe one plant, but I did try to keep things a little bit more interesting than normal with some different leaf shapes and some different floral accoutrements. And then I was trying really hard to work piece by piece, but I found that sometimes the ink needed to dry, otherwise it would stain my hands. So you'll see me do this a few times where I'll start coloring an area and then I'll just stop and move on to a different area and then go back to the original spot again. And that was because I was noticing that the ink was getting on my hand and I didn't want to start leaving like ink splotches, because I have done that a lot in my life. You'll also see I start and stop inking the background a lot, mostly because I would ink part of it and then I'd get bored and want to color something else, and I just had to keep reminding myself, oh, didn't finish those leaves, go back and finish the leaves. I also would go in periodically with my kneaded eraser and just kind of dab around on the paper, and that was just to pick up some of the pigment, the pencil, while still leaving enough of an outline to trace. More leaves. I will say I had a lot of fun with this box and I really do love these supplies. I think my only critique is a critique I have a lot of times for boxes. They'll almost always give you a pink and they'll almost always give you a blue, but they never give you a yellow. I personally would have sacrificed the gray or the green in order to have a yellow marker, because if you have a yellow, a blue, and a pink, you can make pretty much any color that you want. And I've gotten quite a few of these boxes now, and I can tell you, if they're gonna send a set of colors, there's almost always going to be a blue of some sort and a magenta of some sort, and if it's a paint, a lot of times there'll be a white and there'll be a black, but there's never a yellow. It's a big deal if they send a yellow. Do have a couple of regrets in regards to her clothing, and that is, I mostly regret how I colored some of it. For her blue part of her dress, I for some reason thought it would be a great idea to make it a little bit darker, because I realized that a lot of these colors, once you put them down, they have the same tone, so I wanted to try and get some contrast going. So I went over it first with the pale blue, and then I went over it with the purple, and then I went over it again, and as you can see by the sheer amount of splotches, that third pass was the big mistake because it just ate through the paper. And here you can see the beginning of my regret on her shirt, I suppose. Originally it wasn't going to be colored, and I was going to just leave it white, but then I realized her skin was white and I hadn't really thought about a color for her skin, so I decided to just color the shirt. And I started off with some shading and then realized, oh, it should probably have a little more going on, so I go over it completely with the gray, and I absolutely hate it. This took this drawing from something I was almost proud of to disheartening feeling seeing what the gray did to it. And I know it's not a big deal, and it was mostly for the journey, but I wish I'd picked a different color. And then at the last second, I decided that the background needed something extra, so I threw in the blue. And I really do love this beautiful sky blue. It is the perfect shade of blue. And we're done. Here's the final product. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I do wish there was a yellow. I wish I hadn't made that last minute decision with the gray, but I'm very happy with this. I do love these art supplies, and I do want to get more of these Ecoline markers. Maybe for Inktober I can make something happen. I'll see you guys next time.